8 months into this conflict launched by Russia, and Moscow's forces continue to fight to hold on to their illegally occupied territories in southern Ukraine. All across the front line at the moment, the skies are grey, it's raining, and there is increasing mud, which is affecting both ground and air operations. But troops remain locked in struggle across the whole front line. In the east, Ukraine remains very focused on capturing areas of northern Luhansk Oblast, building on its successful offensive last month, where with lightning speed they displaced Russian forces from much of the area. That is slower going, but it threatens Russian supply lines in this area. Further south, Russia is still maintaining one offensive north of Donetsk city. This is largely symbolic and is led by private military companies seeking to prove their worth to the Kremlin, but so far with comparatively few gains. In the centre of the front, Zaporizhia remains comparatively uneasy on both sides, but there's little movement. This is an area, though, where Ukraine may yet have an advantage in pushing south towards Russian forces, especially if Ukraine can mobilise more forces in the coming weeks. But it's the western end of the line, around the city of Kherson, that remains the most interest and has been the most covered by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defence today. If we zoom in on the city, you can see the issues facing both sides as we potentially approach a more important stage of conflict here. For Russia, this was once their high watermark towards the cities of Mykolaiv and Odessa. Now, it is desperately hard to defend with a river at their back, troops on the wrong side of the river facing extensive disruption from Ukrainian forces. And you can see how much Ukraine did manage to capture back in the last month. At present, the Russians have fallen back to new lines, and it looks that they are set to defend the city, despite moving out potentially many civilians. Reports unclear, but it certainly seems that more soldiers have been moved in, including newly mobilised conscripts. It therefore suggests that Russia will try to fight for this area, and that'll pose a challenge for Ukraine. The city itself, very hard to take, and the biggest objective yet approached by Ukrainian forces. We remember what Mariupol looked like. The Ukrainians will not want to go through such an experience, and instead will most likely try and wear down the Russians, break their supplies, break their morale, prevent their withdrawal across the river, and try and win in that fashion. But it will not be quick.